Welcome back. This is my second time recording this because I forgot to plug in the mic. All right, so have you heard of these crazy flesh and blood conspiracy theories and thought they're not true, they're not real? Well, they are real. I thought that when Rudy mentioned them and the professor mentioned this, that they were joking. I thought they were joking. I didn't think this was going to be legit, but here you go. Is the MTG market experiencing wallet fatigue? Which, yes, it is, because Wizards is releasing a ton of product. Or is a $100 million fraud scheme targeted at MTG community unraveling? They even say that all the commenters down below are just flesh and blood investors. It's crazy. They have not purchased any product. Kind of figured that. 7 months ago, I posted a criteria for fraud and we'll put them below. Rudy is basically suable, I guess. MTG content creators are being paid to try to push unwitting new investors into the flesh and blood scheme. I actually was one of those. I was making Magic content and then I switched to flesh and blood because I looked at the game, liked it, and saw there weren't that many people making content. So I was like, hey, I'll give it a shot, and it was fun and I enjoyed it. The losses from the scheme are so significant, it will negatively impact values for all major TCGs across the board. That is right. That is right. It's not that the crypto crashed. It's not that people are putting their money in other assets or people are putting their money towards, summer things like vacations. It's Flesh and Blood's fault. Every card game going down is Flesh and Blood's fault. Only Flesh and Blood's fault. Whew. This is, so it's approaching $100 million. Now, they say see below, but we're going to see if they actually provide evidence of this. So new booster boxes in 2020 were being sold for $400, and now they're being sold for $40 to $50 per booster box. MSRP was $139.99. Okay, so these are cases right now of Monarch Unlimited that are going for about $200. I'm assuming American, they're usually the cheapest prices. And here is a Welcome to Wraith box that sold on May 8th. So these were August 5th. This is May 8th for $400. So one thing I would like to say is they don't have the location here, but I'm assuming that's American because their prices are so low. But if you look here from Canada, so some of the price is going to be because cards are a lot more expensive in Canada, but yes, this is an example of scalping. This is an example of people buying something and flipping it. And this is when card games were still really hot, was May 8th, right? They hadn't really crashed yet. It was the mid of May. It was just before. And also, these are cases. So when you buy in bulk, usually the price does go down, especially with certain deals when people are just trying to get rid of them. So yeah, like it's a little disingenuous to be comparing cases to single boxes. But yeah, every card game was getting flipped like that. Did you see what happened to Pokemon? See, this is something that I find with Magic players like this. These are the Magic players I didn't like in the community. The ones who are so arrogant that they just see everything through the lens of only Magic. Magic's the only game. Don't even have any clue about what happened to Pokemon. They just think that it's just Flesh and Blood that saw this. No, the only game that wasn't getting scalped to oblivion was Magic. That's the only game it wasn't happening to, all right? So you want to blame it all on Flesh and Blood. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Yes, card values were inflated, and now they're not. So this line is interesting. It lacks a player base, and as such, the long-term value of the cards is pretty close to $0. By long-term, we are probably talking about 5 to 10 years. So this game is only going to survive 5 to 10 years. The card value is basically nothing. All those cards you bought, all those cold foils, all those alpha cards, all those promos, all those playable cards, your Arknight Skullcaps, your Vandal Spring Tunic, all zero. They're worth nothing. They're worth nothing. Oh, you spent thousands of dollars, or you built a deck for a few hundred? Nothing. They're worth nothing. You're an idiot. How dare you spend money playing a game? You are an idiot, you absolute Timmy. So disappointed in you. They say that it's sold primarily in the US market, right? And that's crazy because it's global. It's global. Like this person obviously knows nothing about Flesh and Blood. That is very obvious to anybody who plays Flesh and Blood. You can see immediately they don't have any clue what they're talking about. It's like the offshore holding company does not disclose the sales. So essentially, are they talking about LSS? Are they saying like LSS works for Rudy or something like that? Like that's his offshore company? Oh, this is crazy. So he sold about 500,000 kits. No evidence for where they're getting that number from, unless Rudy's talked about it. I don't know. Some are 300 or 500, others are 1,500. Might have been a cheaper one in there. Average of 500 for 50,000 kits. Okay, so that's their math. 50,000 times 500 is 2.5 million. Rough estimate. Yeah, very, very rough estimate. But it's probably pretty close to what Rudy has grossed from his patrons on Flesh and Blood. Okay. Flesh and Blood flipping from one investor to another investor at a higher price to another investor at a higher price takes place on eBay primarily. Okay, so they're only looking at eBay. Their sales for Flesh and Blood in 2021 are roughly 4,000 sold listings in the 100 to 500 range, 500 for that price. Okay. eBay has purged most of their 2020 data, so we have to go by the number we see listed here, even given the steep declines in 2021. Okay, so they don't even have the real numbers. They're just admitting that. But you know what? Let's go by it. Okay, so they were selling for about 400. You've got one box. You're not even showing a second one. Just one box. That's it. New boxes coming to the market sell for about $40 to $50. Yeah, but you're talking about cases. You have to buy the whole case to get them for that price. You can't just buy a single box for that price. Or show me one if you can. And then there's also the sales from TCG Player, Channel Fireball, other local game stores. And let's put this figure at 1 million and 250,000. Like, you're just throwing numbers out there. You're not even, you'd have no evidence for this. You've got nothing to prove any of this. You're just throwing numbers out there. That's insane to me. Okay, so their sales, they're adding them all up to like 100 million. 100 million just out of nowhere. If everybody collectively involved with this game has brought in $100 million, congratulations. Congratulations on a successful business, on many people with many different businesses working together to create this wonderful game and environment and offer all these cool things to players. Thank you and congratulations. This fraud scheme is primarily sold to the US market through the offshore parent holding company and filtered through Alpha Investments. You should pursue Rudy for all losses. Yes, go and sue the Taco Man. We should take a minute and appreciate the magnitude of this fake currency fraud. The mid to long-term value of this cards is basically zero. So this whole thing is predicated on the idea that Flesh and Blood is worth nothing. And I'm sorry to tell you, my dude, you're wrong. You're dead wrong about that. You are 3 trillion% wrong. Just unbelievable. So blah, 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 blah. They also say, pick your poison. This fits the classic framework for securities fraud. And then they say that the player base is only a few thousand and the investor base is at least 10 times the player base. I'd love to know, even just, have you seen that on Reddit? Have you seen that on YouTube? Like, where are you getting this from? Where are you getting this from? This is crazy. So now they talk about all the parts about a scam. So first off, we got misrepresentations, and this is apparently based on an individual knowing that the game is worth nothing, but still telling you that it's worth something so you will buy in and increase the price. That's basically what misrepresentation is. And I apparently have done that because I, according to this person, know that the game is worth nothing. They've demonstrated that wonderfully. So I have engaged in misrepresentation. I have told people to buy into the game. I've made videos on it telling people, hey, you know, if you want to play this game, you like these cool cards, maybe it's a good idea to pick them up now because they're cheap. So then we have insider trading. So this would be like for Rudy, if he knows something big's coming out, he can, you know, manipulate card prices by buying cards that he knows are going to go up in the future. Or, for instance, people that do spoiler cards, which is also in Magic. So I don't know the point they're trying to make here. And while I have not gotten a spoiler card yet, if I do end up getting one for Tales of Aria or maybe the next set, I could technically do inside trading. So if you get a spoiler card for like a really big card, like a weapon or a hero that's going to be played, you can speculate on certain cards that would be very good in the deck and maybe buy a play set or 2 or 3 so you can either not have to buy it when it's expensive or you could buy a whole bunch and sell it later. And that's basically insider trading. But again, this happens in Magic. This happens in more than just Flesh and Blood. And then we've got churning. So it's just the securities broker who convinces a client to just engage in excessive trades just to make more money for themselves. So essentially me telling you to buy these cards is churning. Like, I'm just trying to buy you cards because it benefits me. It benefits me. I guess maybe when I use my affiliate link, maybe that's when it benefits me. I don't know. This is crazy. This is crazy. There's a bunch of comments. Most of the people are in defense of Flesh and Blood. Most of the people are like, okay, this is crazy. Even people who are like, I haven't bought any. I haven't bought any at all, but this is crazy. This is something else. This is wild. Did you know that this existed? Have you actually seen these? I guess now, if you're watching this video, now you know they exist. This is how I found out. So I hope you all have a good day. And man, this is a crazy world we live in.